Education.
Thank you, sir. I will be taking this opportunity to share with the House some reflections on the challenges posed to my community in Morialta by the Cudlee Creek bushfires, as while I had intended to do a significant contribution at the opportunity when the motion that is before the House was available. I don't know when that opportunity will present itself, and since the December the 20th there have been things that needed to be said that I do not want to lose the opportunity to do so in the circumstance that there is some time before the bushfire motion returns to the House. On the 20th of December, and pretty much every day since then, the community in Cudlee Creek, Lobethal, Kenton Valley, Lenswood, and indeed a range of the surrounding areas, Mount Torrens, the outlying areas of Birdwood and Gumaraka, and indeed the whole Hills community, including all of the operators, tourism operators and other economic endeavours, have been absolutely smashed by the challenges posed by the bushfire. Some directly, some have been burnt, many have lost houses, hundreds have lost houses, dozens and dozens of people in my electorate have lost houses, hundreds have lost property of one way or another. The impact of that fire and its ferocity and its severity has been unmatched in the living memory of many people who live in that community. It was terrifying. It was an extraordinary ordeal. What happened in the days after was not only the extraordinary heroism demonstrated by so many people in the Country Fire Service, so many people across the community in volunteer work, volunteer organisations, which, if I get that opportunity in a longer speech, I will go into great detail to mention, to deal in the immediate response, the immediate relief, and then the longer-term recovery. Government's response was profound and appreciated on the ground where it was capable of being delivered. The work that was done to support that response on the ground by non-government organisations and, really importantly, individuals standing up, supporting their neighbours, supporting their communities, supporting their towns, was an extraordinary sight to behold. I reflect on the fact that in recent weeks we've seen some really bad behaviours by some people in our communities that has absolutely gutted me, when we have seen panic buying and those ignoring the needs of the more vulnerable in the community in supermarkets and the like. But what we saw in December and January, as Mayor of the Adelaide Hills, Jan Claire Wisdom, I believe, said in Oakbank at a community meeting just days after the fire, what was brought out by the worst that nature had to offer was in many cases the best that humanity had to offer. And it was extraordinary. I want to pay particular tribute, and I risk offending others in doing so. So to those I can't mention by name today, I indicate that I'll be looking to do substantially more in my hopefully 20-minute contribution later in the year. But in Lobethal, we saw a response that was potentially unlike any other, where a group of people in the community stood up before communication was restored to Lobethal, when there was no mobile phone connectivity or internet connectivity to Lobethal, when people were terrified and hungry. We had a group of people in that community come together in the RSL and then move to the retirement village to stand up a Lobethal bushfire recovery effort. I want to pay particular tribute to some of those people: Adam Wynett, Kelly Lewis, Jodie and Kai Turpin, Talos Bunce and Melissa Amanda Guay, particularly from the committee. There are others on the committee who have asked not to be identified, and there may have been some that I missed. There were hundreds of volunteers, indeed, around the hills who I could name who would be worthy of merit, but that group, I think, is emblematic of the sorts of things we want to see in our community. As Education Minister, I've taken the opportunity to visit sites hit by bushfire, the Kangaroo Island bushfire in particular, and indeed as many sites as I've been able to before the coronavirus took hold in the Adelaide Hills. The stories of staff who themselves have suffered great loss but gone to support their children, potentially not having had school holidays because of the impacts on their properties, and then to support their children, to give them some semblance of normality from day one, despite having lost property, despite having in some cases lost houses, has been extraordinary, and it has given the children the best start to the year possible. I ask that all of us, while we are all confronting this unprecedented crisis of coronavirus, remember that there are some in our community that were already this year suffering an unprecedented crisis, and now have this laid on top of that. And to all of those educators and all of those other workers in the hills, in Kangaroo Island and other bushfire-affected areas, we say thank you, thank you, thank you.